What's going on, everybody? This is a roaming prepper again with your next episode of the Domino Effect. Now, we already talked in parts 1 and 2 about certain macroeconomic issues, some inflation. We're also talking about certain geopolitical issues. We're kind of breaking down different segments. So today, I want to revisit, if I can close that window and move that camera a little bit, sorry about that, talk about some things that we need to understand, because I think when you understand how money is calculated and how it works and how we can save, that's where we can take action. And as always, dog toys are relatively cheap and they are on sale at Petco. As you can hear, the corgis are now celebrating with their new toys. I'll be right back and let's talk about this subject for Domino Effect Part 3. Where do we calculate that money from? I'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining me again on the Roaming Prepper. I'm your host, Pete. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do appreciate it. I prefer a like. If you want to give me a thumbs down because you don't like my crap, that's okay too. If you'd like to share, that's always thankfully appreciated as well. And let's get to it. So last time we spoke, we were talking about how some of the banks were doing this. Why 186 other banks could go the way of Silicon Valley. And that's a great, frightening headline, right? But let's talk about that. First of all, it says why could go. Oh, well, maybe not. It could go, but we can't do that. So let's try that again, right? Could go, not actually are going to go. But, you know, these kind of headlines are scary and they scare the crap out of people. So we need to figure out how that happens in order for us to really understand and appreciate why the banks have these problems and what we can do about it, right? Because at the end of the day, hearing me tell you, oh no, you know, the world is ended and the banks are collapsing, but I'm not actually helping you understand how everything's moving around. We can't make decisions like that. So just as a general rule, and so we'll start right here. So the Motley Fool, and I'll refer you to this article, Who Determines the Value of the US Dollar? So I'll give you a little bit of history courtesy of the Motley Fool. Okay, prior to 1971, the US government set the official value of the US dollar to a fixed amount of gold, which we've all discussed in the preparedness community. The Coinage Act of 1834, so from 1834 until 1971, we had $1 was, or 1 ounce of gold equaled $20.67 per ounce, flat. Now, it didn't take into account trade. It didn't take into account efficiencies in business. It was just a flat amount. This set the official value of the dollar at 23.2 grains of gold, or about 1.5 grams, or 371 grains of silver, which is roughly 3/4 of an ounce. So at one point, 3/4 ounce coin of silver equaled $1, right? And then it went to an ounce because of a different calculation. That rate lasted until 1933, when FDR required all Americans to turn in all gold coins in exchange for paper money. That's where the big change happened. 1934, the government devalued the dollar to require $35 per ounce of gold. So that kind of sucked for people. So you had these gold coins, you were required to trade them in, and then at the time when you traded them in, they were $20 or $27, and then it came back and it was $35. So you kind of were like, I have to pay more dollars for that same ounce of gold that was $20, not a few months before. You kind of see what happened there? So you lost 30% of your value, which kind of sucks. Now, in the bigger picture, during the Great Depression, there were actually foreign countries buying up a bunch of gold to kind of screw up our economy. There were some other things going around in the background that happened. But yeah, in 1933, the president said, everyone turn in your gold coins, which were worth $20. It was $20 per ounce. And then they gave you back a paper that said, well, now you have to pay $30 for that same ounce. So that's where all the fun started. Anyway, 1971, Richard Nixon took off the gold standard entirely, saying that the U.S. would no longer convert dollars at gold to a fixed value. The move effectively delinked the dollar's value to the price of tangible good, and it allowed it to float freely. And this is where you start getting into the voodoo. So since then, the U.S. dollar's value has been determined through trade and foreign exchange markets, as well as GDP, etc. From time to time, central banks will intervene in the currency markets to counteract volatility. For instance, in 2015, Mexico's central bank chose to sell 200 million U.S. currency on a daily basis for a 3-month period to purchase Mexican pesos. The move raised the value of the pesos. Basically, they took pesos out of circulation and put them into the Mexican government reserves. So then there were less pesos out in the open market, so each peso was worth more. Kind of catch what I'm saying? So what we've witnessed in the last couple of years since the Rona showed up is we've been throwing more dollars into the system. Well, when you throw that many dollars into the system, you do the opposite of what Mexico did, which was you devalue the dollars. And that's a large reason why we have inflation. Now you add to that a large interest rate, which is now being used. They're using the interest rate to counteract the fact that they printed too much damn money in the first place. Instead of not doing all these damn stimuli, they kept throwing money into the market. Now they have to raise the interest rates to cut back on people's spending. So basically, but they did it too fast, and now many banks are starting to collapse and is causing panic. So now they're exacerbating what they screwed up in the first place. But I digress because, you know, I mean, well, he's really excited over there. So in any case, that's a brief history of how the dollar got where it is. So people keep arguing with me on platforms, well, prices are not that bad. I don't know what drug they're on, but clearly, yes, prices have gone up. So here you go. This is March of 2023 to March of 2020. The Consumer Price Index per the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So let me put a little bit of pen work to that so we can have some fun here. So, as you can see, this is where we were in March of 2020. That was pre-COVID. December, it still wasn't too bad. It was somewhat elevated. But when the new administration came in, you had stimulus, and ta-da! And now they're using the interest rate to try and force it down. Right? You can barely see that pen. Let's try that one. No, that sucks also. Well, hell's bells. Sorry, guys. That even sucked even worse than the first one. Anyway, so, oh, here, bonus. Let's make an arrow. So, this is where they started raising the interest rates this year. But they did all the stimulus, and they did the exact opposite of what Mexico did in 2015. Mexico was like, wow, we're having an inflationary effect. We have too many pesos on the market. We're going to sell US dollars, buy back pesos on the market, take them out of circulation so there will be less on the street, so to say, and the value of each peso will go up. The US government just did the exact opposite. And here are all the, I mean, literally, and it's not exact, but a lot of these bump ups, like where it goes up, little bumps, actually correspond to stimulus packages. So this just blows my mind that that's the route we went. So yes, there is economic problems here. So how does that affect us, right? Well, here's a great example. This is from Financial Samurai, accelerating prices, the average cost to buy a used vehicle, with the average being the baseline. So let me do a little pen work on this one as well, so you guys can see what the hell I'm doing here. And that's not how we do that, dude. So apparently I don't know how to work an iPad today. So give me a second here while we, there we go. Come on now. Ta-da! All right, awesome. Here we go. So This was the average price of a vehicle, right? So they're using average cost to buy a used vehicle. It includes cars and trucks. So basically civilian vehicles, not commercial vehicles, not semis, anything like that. Now, this is 2020, right? I'm assuming around here is kind of the middle of 2020. Here's 2021, middle of 21. This one ends at 22. What do you notice between this and the previous picture? Every time there was a stimulus, the price went up, the price went up. Do you know why? Because you put too many dollars in the damn market and bam, each dollar is now worth less because there are too many out there. So you guys kind of tracking me on this one? This is why everyone can't afford shit right now and why eggs are $8 or $6, depending on where you are. Gas is floating around $3. It hasn't been there since we had that embargo from the Middle East. Why is that? A bad economic policy. And a lot of it was politics. They were trying to, basically make constituents happy by throwing dollars at them. But in throwing so many damn dollars out there, you basically screwed up the market. And again, I mean, you look at it. Here's the graph, right? The average vehicle was unchanged from 2016 all the way to middle of 2020. And then it went up a little bit. And the middle of 2020 was around when that first COVID Rona stimulus package went through. But look how it took off after the new administration came in. There's no freaking way you can tell me that that's not a coincidence. No, that's not a just coincidence. And here's the US dollar weekly value. So this one, oh, I don't have where I got this from. Sorry, guys. Shoot. So anyway, this is, hold on a second here. This is 2021. This is, hold on, I don't have my glasses. This is 2023. So 21 to 2023. And again, you see that inflationary effect going on. So yeah, this is problematic. These kind of accelerating prices and a continued use of bad policy is just absolutely crushing people. And honestly, now they're talking about a guaranteed minimum wage. Well, you create enough inflation and you guarantee everyone minimum wage, you're just throwing more dollars into the system. Now, should there, and by the way, I'm not saying guaranteed minimum wage, guaranteed wage. Let me correct myself. So whether you have to move the minimum wage up or down to account for inflation is one thing, and there are arguments for and against that. But when you're guaranteeing everyone's going to get paid X, well, the first whatever many $1,000s, you're going to take away motivation for people to work harder because they're like, well, I can get by with what I'm getting and not have to do anything. I could stay at home and play Xbox. And then you basically get the guy in Idiocracy who is sitting there drinking out of a pacifier from a tank playing video games because he didn't have to do anything. He just waited for his monies. So the fact that this is actually something that's happening in our lifetime just absolutely floors me. And it makes you wonder what the hell people are thinking. So let's go back. So we went to the Motley Fool. So what do we do about this, right? What can we walk away with in saying, wow, we have this, right? None of us, unless one of you is a congressperson or the president, you can't really control this shit. So what do we do? How do we change things? So this one came from US World and News Report. 15 items to buy in bulk and save money. So I'm not going to make everyone crazy by doing a bunch of graphics here, although I'd very much like to. Let's see if I can draw on this page. No, I made it angry. Never mind. All right, so we won't be doing that. But they said there's other articles on this thing called 20 cheap foods to buy when you're broke. Probably not something bad, but things you can buy in bulk. And if you guys have to play this back, I'm putting it up on the camera so you guys maybe can take a screenshot, or you can come back, pause the video, and look at it. Anyway, I'll read it down. Baking staples, breakfast items, canned food, cheese, cleaning supplies, diaper and wipes, food storage bags, which obviously you don't eat the food storage bags, but you buy them in bulk, meat, olive oil, paper products, pasta, pet food, protein bars, snacks, and toiletries. Baking staples, if you make a lot of items from scratch, stock up on baking supplies like sugar, flour, and baking soda. Breakfast items, they say, specific things like oatmeal, cereal, individually wrapped breakfast pastries, etc. All those should be shelf stable for quite a while, so you don't have to worry about finishing them in a hurried manner. The only downside is buying these kind of things in bulk is that you want to make sure your household is okay having a ton of one flavor on hand, and you don't get sick of eating the same flavor, which as preparedness folks, we already kind of have to factor in. Like, nobody wants to eat blueberry Pop-Tarts every freaking day of the year. But having them on hand, if you're hungry, you're going to eat the damn Pop-Tarts, right? Canned foods, you don't need a freezer, and canned food, they have a typo in here. Canned foods like beans, pasta sauce, tuna, and soups are always handy to have. They make quick meals, also as preppers. They have a good shelf life, right? Cleaning supplies, diapers and wipes. And by the way, the diapers are not just for the baby. Well, diapers are for the babies, unless you have a medical issue. But the wipes are also useful not only for wiping, obviously, but also for hygiene, cleanliness. If the water goes down, you can use it to clean your hands and face so you don't contaminate yourself with dirty hands while eating food. Food storage bags, of course, environmentally friendly and cost-effective ideas to opt for reusable bags, but you'll find food storage bags of all types at bulk dealers. Stores like Costco will usually have packages like Ziploc bags with a variety of sizes. If you do a lot of meal planning, these are a great way to make your food last. Meat, the average household spent, according to 2019, $980 on meat in 1 year in a home. I think some families are more than that. She recommends buying meat in bulk, especially if it's on sale, and if you have a deep freezer to store it in. Now, me personally, I'm cooking some of my videos. I always put when I stored the meat. Most of it has been a year old or more that I've had it in a food saver or some other storage device, and then I cook it. So these are things you guys can do right now. They go on olive oil, paper products, pasta, bulk pet foods. You buy those big bags. Like for me, I buy the 35-pound bag. Yeah, it's not cheap, but I have a serving cup. Every dog gets the same serving, right? And I know that bag will last me a month and a half, if not 2 months, just one bag. So I keep a couple of them. They're not cheap, but once you get one or two as a reserve, you know when that first one's done, you open the next one, and then you go out and buy the third bag to put in the back, and you rotate the dog food. In a pinch, my potatoes are clearly well fed. If I have to cut back a little bit and feed them a little less, but over 3 little meals instead of 2 bigger runs, I can do that as well. So there are things I can do, and same for people, right? You can eat a little less, or you have more smaller meals to account for what you're doing. So anyway, folks, bottom line is the decisions being made by our leadership are part of a large reason why we're battling what we're battling now. This is not also taking into account the cost of fuel, which is phenomenally a problem, and it'll be another one of my dominoes. But being able to understand how the dollar works, what the history of the US dollar was, and the decisions that have been made that have caused the consumer price index to go up, have caused the inflationary effect, have caused a 40% increase in the average price of a vehicle, a used vehicle no less. These things are important, right? Obviously, the used vehicle, there was a factor, supply chain got screwed up because of the Rona, and so chips weren't being made, so cars couldn't be bought. New cars couldn't be made, so used cars demand went up. So there are other factors there. But a lot of those spikes in cost and consumer price index correspond to stimulus packages. We just kept throwing money into the system without really factoring in what it would do to us a year and a half later. So from 2021, by the middle to end of 22, we already had a major inflation problem, and it's just carrying over into 23 and 24. I promise you, they're probably gonna try and squash inflation before the election so that it's not a talking point. But the bottom line is their decisions help create this problem. In any case, that's some facts, that's some charts. I gave you the reference. Do your own homework, guys and girls. Definitely pay attention to what's going on. But hey, those tips, bulk purchase, and again, if you can't buy the big bulk rice on your own, a little too spendy for you, get someone to split it with. You know, 50-pound bag of rice is, say, $40, right? And most of us can afford $40, but some of us can't. That's fine. Find another friend who's willing to go in half with you. Now it's $20. You're getting 25 pounds at the price of the bulk. And that saves you money, and it also gives you a prep stash. So folks, that's it for this one. I hope it was helpful. Keep an eye out for more Domino series, because I'm going to be doing this for a bit as these new topics keep popping up and they need to be addressed. Until next time, God bless, Godspeed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you on my next video. You guys be safe.